Well, hello, welcome back to the channel. Bit nervous today, I don't know why. I feel like because I haven't done like a sit down one before. I don't know, strange, because I've always just kind of done like vlogs and stuff. But anyway, welcome. Today we're going to do just like, I put up a question box. Well, someone had actually said, be like, do a get to know me. And I was going to do it on TikTok, and then I thought, you know what? This is one for the YouTube channel. So we're going to talk about everything. We've got a cup of tea. So if you don't have one, pause, go get one. Let's have a conversation. And anyway, so I've got some questions here that we're going to go through, and yeah, let's get straight in. I'll introduce myself first. So I'm Keeling, I'm 24, I'm from Northern Ireland in Tyrone. I'm a dietitian and a sports dietitian, and I'm also a CrossFit coach. However, currently we're on a bit of a sabbatical due to having an ACL reconstructed. So yeah, that's still work in progress. And I'm technically still a baker, but I just currently on a sabbatical from that as well. So yeah, there's lots of different things. Although something I always find funny is, you know, when you introduce yourself, and we always use jobs as a way to define what kind of person we are, when sometimes someone's job doesn't actually explain who they are as a person. Like mine's pretty much do, but some people's don't, and I always find it really strange to think that that's how we kind of like define people. Anyway, doesn't matter, let's be rambling. Okay, let's get into the questions. So I'm going to try and do these in order so that it kind of flows better. So one of them was, what A levels did you do and what grades did you get? And then one of the other questions is, did you go to uni in Coleraine, trying to decide between UUC and need help? So basically it kind of just ties into university, so we'll talk about that first. So basically I went to Laredo Grammar School in Noma, and for my A levels there I did home economics, maths and chemistry. LOL, thinking back, but you know, I actually really loved chemistry when I was doing it at GCSE, and I love maths. I still love maths, and I think if I wasn't doing dietetics or like CrossFit, I would have went down like a math route, which is crazy to think, and definitely wouldn't be doing that now anyway, like if I think about it. But if I had to choose back then, I was either of them two. Anyway, because actually when I put my UCAS in, one of the things I put down was like mathematics. Crazy. Anyway, so when I was doing them, the reason I chose them was, one, I actually enjoyed them. I loved home economics and I loved food. And then the other one was, in terms of picking the two sciences, to do the dietetics course that I wanted to do, you had to have at least one science. And so the science that I chose was chemistry, but then I really enjoyed maths anyway, so I was like, fuck it, I'll do them as well. So that's why we ended up with the maths, the chemistry and the home economics. Loved them. I actually, fun fact, I think I had started taking on biology as well in 6th year, because you know you can do 4 and then you can drop one after just to get like extra credits, but I didn't even. I think I very quickly dropped biology when I realised how much work was involved in the other 3. So yeah, I did them. Now this is where things, because one of the question was, what grades did I get as well? Now your grades really don't matter once you get into university. Like, yes, you need certain grades to actually get into university, but no one's going to come back and ask you, unless you're doing a get to know me, but no one's going to be like, what did you get? Do you know, like if you get into your degree, whatever you want to do, like do not be stressing so much. However, I ended up, the way that it worked out was I was going to go to Ulster University, and so Ulster University, I played county growing up, which we'll talk about as well, because I think that's one of the questions. I played county level football, which is like one of the highest level of Gaelic football that you can play at that sport. So technically it would be classified as like elite level if you were doing like a scholarship situation. And so Ulster University did an elite scholarship situation. I can't actually remember what it's called, but basically you can apply for that if you are an elite athlete, which is so funny to even think about, because like we don't even get paid. But anyway, I don't even play county anymore. I applied for the scholarship, and the scholarship had several benefits to it, which meant if you did the scholarship you got like a 2 grade reduction, or if you got the scholarship you got a 2 grade reduction in what you actually needed. And because I was going for a healthcare profession at that time, you had to do the HPAT, which is now an interview if you're watching this now. So now to get into a healthcare profession you have to do an interview, but at that time you had to have at least 3 Bs across the board to get into your desired course, along with passing the HPAT. And when I did the HPAT, it was like a 5-hour long exam, whereas now it's your interview process. Anyway, I'm not sure if it's still 3 Bs, I think it might still be, but anyway, so I needed 3 Bs and I needed to pass the HPAT to get into dietetics. And essentially the HPAT exam was in January, and you found out your results in like Marchish time before you even do your A level, so you kind of knew already going in to do your final A level exams, like, you know, like your like 7th year ones, if you like were on track basically to get in. So that was good. So I knew that I had passed the HPAT for dietetics, and so then I was like, right, okay, we know the crack. But I also knew that I got the scholarship, and so with the scholarship I knew that I had a 2 grade reduction, meaning I only needed a B and 2 Cs to get in, which that was all I needed to be told that I didn't need to put that much effort in, which is terrible to say, but let's be honest about it. I knew that I only needed to be in 2C, so I was like, if that's all I need, I'm gonna just do bare minimum right now, because at that time I really enjoyed like going out partying and drinking and stuff, so I was kind of doing that more, which, you know, is literally like a 180 of what I am now. But at that time, going out drinking and stuff was probably like my priority, especially when I knew that I was only getting a B in, I only needed to get a B in 2Cs, which again is completely relative to other people, but I knew that I could get that. Like, I was fairly confident in myself that I could get that, so I was like, right, okay, no stress. So now that was grand, got the B and 2Cs, got into dietetics, and that was in Coleraine. And so if you're deciding between going to Coleraine and UUC, I think now things are very different. So when I was going, Belfast was very much pumping, like it was like the spot to be, so it was. And I was toying between doing dietetics or physiotherapy, or alternatively doing food safety, quality and management or something like that. Basically it's like some form of nutrition in Queens, that way I could go to Belfast. But the only reason I was going to go and do that course wasn't because I wanted to do the course, it was because I wanted to be in Belfast. Whereas now things are very different. So at the time there wasn't very many courses in Coleraine. I think dietetics was the only health profession that was in Coleraine at the time, whereas now all of them are in Coleraine. So Colerane's popping off, so it is, along with Derry obviously has like your whole medicine situation now. Jordanstown's basically cancelled, and you've got your Belfast campus, which Belfast campus now is more sort of like artsy vibes. So I really think if you're toying between the two, there's probably enough going on now in Coleraine. And I took for granted going to Coleraine. Like when I started going there, I fucking hated it because all my friends were obviously in Belfast, so, and my boyfriend was in Belfast, and so I was driving up to Belfast like every single week and then driving down again in the morning time for class. Do you know, like it wasn't the vibes, but at the time I didn't care. But by the time I got to third year, I actually lived up in Portstewart, which is like 5 minutes away from Coleraine. And so when you're living up in Coleraine, you're actually going to be living in Portstewart, and Portstewart is beautiful. Beautiful. I loved living up there, and like all the coffee shops and living by the water. Like if I was to buy a house now, I would be buying it by the water because the vibes were just immaculate, and I just really took for granted living up there. Loved it so much. And then actually what happened was I was living up there with one of the girls from my class, Emily, shout out Emily, and literally we had only got a 6-month lease because me and Emily were both like, we were both a wee bit skeptical about living up. Like we both travelled first and second year, and then going into our third year, which was the year before placement. It's 4 years for dietetics, but we'll talk about that after. It's 4 years for dietetics, and essentially the third year was our final year before doing a full year of placement. And so we were like, right, well, we live up. So we got a lovely house in, it was like in Millstone or something, or opposite the Millstone. It was a really nice house. It was like a 2-story house, and oh my god, we just felt like so adult and had our lives together. It was just so good. And lived up there, would go to the coffee shop, go to class, and there was a CrossFit up there, so I had kind of started dabbling with a wee bit of CrossFit. And I also had really terrible mental health at the time, so my counsellor was up there as well in Coleraine, so like everything had just like fallen into place for me up there. But anyway, we had only had a 6-month lease, which meant we had it from September to March time. Now that March was March 2020, which is when pandemic happened, so everyone was essentially told go home. So we were lucky that our lease was literally up that month that lockdown happened, so that worked out so perfectly. Couldn't have worked out better. But what I would say is, if you're toying between Belfast and Queens, you will still see your friends. Do not stress about it. You're going to make loads of new friends if you're going to go to Coleraine, and go with the course that you actually want to do. Like if you're going to university, go with the course you actually want to do, or essentially like, what are you going for? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you going for if it's not for actually bettering your career? Like, yes, some people are just going for the crack, like, but at the same time, it's the pits going and you not like liking what you're supposed to be doing when you're going to class. So go with that, because I promise it's going to be good wherever you go. And look, realistically, life is what you make it, okay? So don't stress about it. Okay, next question. While we're on the topic of university, the next question is, what college course did you do? So I studied dietetics, and I get lots of questions about this on my Instagram because I know that there's really not that much information on what the fuck dietetics is. And like, yes, they'll give you a definition or whatever, but like, when I was searching as well, I was still going into the course being like, what is this? So let's discuss. So essentially I did my undergraduate in dietetics. So that meant when I graduated, I was a fully fledged dietitian. I was HCPC registered. I was able to work in the hospital. But you can do loads of different branches off that just don't get you the same level of professionalism as dietetics is. For example, human nutrition, food and nutrition, and there's another one that's nutrition, but all 4 of them are in Coleraine, okay? If you're studying here in Northern Ireland, I know obviously there's similar vibes over in England, Scotland, Wales. So I've kind of already covered what I needed to do to get into this course. There was a lot, obviously, and my class was very small. There was only 21 of us in the class, and there was only 3 guys. I think there was only 3 guys, and the rest of us were all girls in the class. And so it was really nice. It was nice because it was a nice small class, and so that was good vibes. You do 3, with dietetics, you'll do 3 years straight in university, and then your 4th year will be all placements, because you know why some courses do a sandwich year. Well, you do 2 years, you'll go off, do placement, and then you'll come back and finish your final year, whereas with dietetics you'll do all 3, then you'll go off, work in the hospital, and then after that you'll go on to a wait list, which I'll discuss now. So basically I did that, but some people will end up, if they don't get into dietetics, basically say they don't get the HPAT or they don't get the interview, they could do human nutrition or food nutrition, because they're all within the same sort of realm. And after they complete that course, they could go on and do a master's in dietetics and then end up with the same degree as me, who did it as my undergrad. Okay, so that means that they then have the same level of professionalism and can also work in a clinical setting. That's the one I did, and then I went on and I did the same year. So I completed my course, went on, did a master's on sports and exercise nutrition, and I was working at the time, this was still during the pandemic, I was working full time as well, 4 days a week plus 1 day baking. So I was doing that. I was working Monday to Thursday in the hospital. Friday I was baking all day, and during that time I was doing a distance learning master's, well, postgraduate diploma, but you can do the master's version, but then there's a whole host of things where you don't actually have to do the sports and exercise nutrition masters. You can do the sports exercise postgraduate diploma to get to where I was looking to go, which I'll do a whole other video about, because I know that a lot of people have questions when it comes to dietetics. But basically that's what I did. So my technical honours would be I got a first in undergraduate dietetics, and then I got a distinction in my postgraduate diploma in sports and exercise nutrition. So my overall title would be a sports dietitian. But you could also call me a clinical and sports dietitian. However, I now don't work in the hospital at the minute. I work for myself. So I went on then after that, and I was kind of gradually building my social media at the time, and my social media page, which is like my work page, which is called Be a Better You, which we love, slay. And now initially it was BIA, which was BIA. However, I didn't realise that was trademarked, so then I had to change it back to BIA, which the BIA was the Irish for food, so it like tied in really well. It was like Be a Better You, which tied the food and the mindset of things, because remember my mental health was really bad. So my whole goal with Be a Better You was, it's not just about your nutrition, because nutrition is only one aspect of being your best self. You've got the movement side of things, you've got the mental health side of things, you've got connection side of things. Like, it's a whole approach to everything, like a real whole body approach. And so that's what Be a Better You is about. It's like making sure that we're not just focusing on one aspect and we're getting so honed in that we're not forgetting about everything else, because that's, you can eat the healthiest diet, but if between your ears isn't healthy and it's not a good place to be, or the people that you hang around with isn't a good place to be, well then how are you going to get to your best self? Do you know what I'm saying? So that was ideally where my goal came from with Be a Better You, especially even working clinically in the hospital. Like, I just knew that there was like a psychological piece of things missing, or like a lot of people that had a lot of issues going on generally had quite, like, I kind of was putting a correlation together where like the mental health side of things wasn't really being taken care of that very well. So that's where Be a Better You came from. But I'm very lucky now where I'm so grateful for the response that it has, and like for the audience and the people that follow me and the people that follow the page and the people that I get to work with, like all my clients. So amazing. And I love getting to work with sports athletes, sports teams. I work with Gaelic teams, and then I work with a whole host of different, from IBS, weight loss, performance nutrition, to even just getting a healthier relationship with food, hypothalamic amenorrhea, like everything. I work with everything. So it's good vibes. Love it so much. Now, I'll do a whole different thing on dietetics after, so I will, just to kind of give you the full breakdown. How you and Owen met, and how long have you been in your relationship? This is funny. So Owen is my boyfriend. He is a CrossFit coach, which CrossFit is one of the next questions, so we'll get into that. However, we and Owen met in 2000, and we were first year in school, so we were 12. And we met at a maths challenge, which is hilarious. He probably doesn't even remember this, but we met at a maths challenge, and I remember he was really, really tall. And he was 12, I was 12, and we just met at that. That was like how we knew each other, because we met through that, because it was CBS was there and Narada was there, and so I was obsessed with maths, so I got to go. So that was fine. So that was the first time we met, and that was in like 2010 or 2011 or something like that. So that's what, fucking 11 years ago we met. And then we obviously grew up together, just like from going out different places and like seeing each other at the bus depot, knowing each other from just like football things and all that kind of thing. So because he played football growing up as well. Anyway, so we knew each other for a long time, and then I think it was like 3rd or 4th year he got like really attractive, which is so funny to think about, but he like hit puberty and he got really attractive. And I've told him this before, so if he's watching this, don't laugh at me. But anyway, and I was like in love with him. I was like, oh my god, I love this man, like I love him. And LOL, Paul Kane, if you're watching this, Paul will know that I was like, why does he not like me? Like, I don't understand why he doesn't like me. So we went on and off for years, from like 4th year when we were like 15, 16, and like he was seeing other people, I was seeing other people, that was fine. And but like we would take stints where we would like be texting for a while, and then all of a sudden he would be like in a relationship, and then all of a sudden I'd be in a relationship, and then he'd be single again, and then I'd be single again, but then we just never, then we'd be talking again, but we just never did anything. And I was in 1st year uni, and then that's kind of when we started seeing each other again. So like properly, like then we were like, right, boyfriend, girlfriend. So that was like probably, we were boyfriend, girlfriend 2018 properly. And then so from 2018 till now, this is 2023, so it's technically 5 years. However, we had an 8-month break in the middle, which a lot of relationships probably end up having that, where they'll have like a breakup, and then when they get back together again, if they get back together again, you're like, okay, no, this is like, we're now in a better place. And like I really do think that we needed that break, because we wouldn't be as good as we are now. So I'm actually, everything happens for a reason, do you know what I mean? So we've essentially been together for, we actually had our anniversary there, like our official 2-year anniversary for the last, when we got back together the last time, but we've been together for a long time, basically approximately 5 years with a gap in between. Okay, so yeah, but we've known each other for 11, for a long time. So yeah, that's the crack there. Right, on to the CrossFit thing. So we have a couple of questions about CrossFit, which kind of ties this all together. So I am, one of the things that obviously I train as, like I do CrossFit 6 days a week. But however, I recently tore my ACL, so at the minute I'm in rehab for my ACL. I got my surgery there like 3 weeks today. I got my surgery, and we're in the rehab, but I'm kind of back in. I'm getting to do bits of training and stuff, so that's really, really good. But I'm obviously, it's going to be like 9 full months before I get sorted with my surgery, or like fully recovered. But a lot of the things is, how did you get into CrossFit? What's your current job? How did you get into CrossFit training? How did you get into CrossFit? Did you find it hard in the beginning? So let's talk about CrossFit. So I would like to preface this by saying I am fully aware that I am not the best CrossFit person ever. Like I love doing CrossFit, really enjoy it, and even at the minute I was probably like having a bit of an identity CrossFit, because I know obviously some people that follow me because I do CrossFit and I post about it and stuff, but I am by no means like a CrossFit athlete. However, we're all athletes. If anyone trains, you're an everyday athlete, but I'm like an everyday athlete. However, before CrossFit, I played Gaelic football and I played county football, so that I played for Tyrone, and I played for Tyrone County from I was like under 14, but I never got starting at under 14, and I was trying and I still couldn't get fucking starting, and I was like, what's the fucking issue here? Like I'm a very competitive person, it's probably not healthy. Anyway, so I would constantly be on my coaches being like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And so then I started like doing a wee bit of training myself. I actually started doing like Kayla Itzinas. If anyone follows her, she has like the sweat program now. But back then she used to have, it was like bikini something. It's like Bikini Body Guide or something. But I downloaded that from the internet, and I was doing that just in like my home gym when I was like 15. And so I was doing that, and I was trying to do a wee bit more running, trying to do a wee bit of strength stuff myself, like fucking random stuff like, and just was getting a wee bit more confident with myself and my football and stuff. And so eventually got starting again, and that same year I think I got like player of the year. I was like, yeah, fucking we've made a baby, let's go. And so then got up to senior level, and at senior level then I was like, right, I am not doing all this training if I'm not getting started. Like this is, I am going to be a starting player. Like that's the way it has to be. Like I swear, it was like in my journals, in my notes, like in my goals for the year, like I am cornerback for Tyrone, and I was, and it worked out and it was good. But like I had to work for that. Like I had every day after training I'd be like, what do I need to do like to make sure that I'm up at that level, like I'm playing where I need to be. Also at the same time, social media was getting a wee bit bigger at this point, and like Instagram and stuff was getting a bit bigger, and I was seeing this gym in Oma that was really, really good. At the time it was called CrossFit Oma, and I was like, what's going on here? And it looked really, really cool. And I was just a wee bit obsessed with it. And then there was people that I knew that were a wee bit older than me doing it and like posting about it, and I thought I would love to do that. Like it just looked cool, because all the training I had done before was very just like isolated exercises, like what a lot of like people that do bodybuilding would do. So it's like, okay, we're doing 6 reps of 3 sets of this exercise and blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? Like very like bodybuilding style vibes. And so that was all we had done, even for Gaelic football as well. Like we might have done like deadlifts, or we might have tried to do some pull-ups and stuff, but it was never what this looked like. Like CrossFit just looked something different, something completely new. And I was like, I really want to try this. But because of the way the season worked, like the season was 9 months, like you had like 2 or 3 month off season, so it was never really feasible time to get in. So then I think it was 2018. No, was it 20? It was 2018. It was. Yeah, it was 2018, I think. And we had just won the All-Ireland with Tyrone. We'd won the Intermediate All-Ireland. And one of the girls in the gym, they had like a female coach starting, and I knew her. So I thought, I'm going to write to her, because she was taking like personal training at the time, the whole like AMRAP thing that I would take for CrossFit, or not AMRAP, the whole introduction thing that I would have taken for the new members now. It wasn't really a mad thing at the time. At the time it was like personal training. So when I joined, I like wrote to her during the off season of Gaelic football or off county, and I was like, her name's Neve. I was like, hey Neve, just wondering, like inquiring about your services, blah blah. So she's like, yeah, let's get you booked in. So I will never forget my first time walking in there. So I was going to do like a personal training session with her. I remember walking in, but I was going to do the personal training with every intention of joining the classes. Like I wasn't going for personal training. I was going to be like, can I get inducted so I can join the classes? And I remember sitting in the car, my heart rate was like fucking 150, just sitting there. I was so anxious and so nervous going in. And at this time, this is when like my mental health was in the bin as well. So it was like, it was a rough time all over. So I was like, how am I even going to step foot in this gym? Like, how am I even going to step foot in this gym? So eventually I got in the door, and Eve was a legend. She got me through it. It was 100%. And she had said to me at the time, she's like, what's the goals here? Like, what's the intention with this? And I was like, to be honest, the main intention is that I can then go and just like be a CrossFitter, like do CrossFit, whatever. She was like, right, okay, let me chat to PD, which is the guy that owns it, and she was like, and see if I can take you through your induction. I was like, 100%. So essentially that's what we did. She took me through my induction in 2018. Now, problem was, I must have done it for about a month. Pre-season started, so it was very hard for me to get in, do pre-season, train, like, because pre-season was like 4 or 5 days a week with county, and then I was trying to do CrossFit at the same time, so it just wasn't feasible. It wasn't happening. I didn't have enough days in the week. And also money, because I was a student at the time, so it was very hard to like, I was literally like first year uni, so like I was trying to pay a membership, driving then to Garahe, driving home, like, you know, like driving, I was driving to uni as well, so there was a lot of fun situation obviously at the time as well. And so that was grand. So essentially did CrossFit for about a month, and then I didn't go back till about March time. So I didn't. So I was like, did it for a month, didn't go back till March 2019. And I think March 2019 I did like on and off, maybe 1 or 2 classes a day or a week for like maybe 2 months. And then I think that year I did the open as well, like randomly did the open, because me and Erin, we were like sitting there, we went in to watch everyone doing it, and we were like, fuck it, will we sign up? So that was like my first ever open, but I only ended up doing one of the workouts. I think I just did one that night, and then I didn't do any more after that. So that technically wasn't my first open, but it was the first open workout I did. Anyway, so I did that, and then was there for maybe 2 months, but then again it was coming into championship league season, so for county, so I stopped going again because there was too much. You had to take your rest days and stuff for county, so that was grand. Stopped going again, but at the same time when I was there for them 2 months, Owen had applied for a job in it, and we were together at the time, like we'd been together for a year at this stage. And I remember the ad went up, and Owen was like, will I apply for it? Like, and Owen would have like done like a wee bit of coaching in the club and stuff when he was younger. And he's like, well, I applied for it. And so he got the job. So he ended up being one of the coaches in CrossFit then. So he was like going through all his learning phases or whatever. So then obviously knowing that he was in it a bit more, even though I was there first, I would like to prevail, I was in it first before he was. He only knew about CrossFit for me, okay? If he's watching this. Anyway, so then after that, when pre-season finished in 2019 we had a terrible season, so it finished a wee bit earlier, and because that was our first year at senior championship, so we just didn't do very well that year, so our season ended a wee bit earlier. So then I went back to CrossFit then, when was this? Did I go back to CrossFit then coming up to Christmas time, like September to Christmas? And then yeah, I think I did. And then the pandemic happened in 2020. That's a lie, because I was in uni, so I didn't go really to the gym very often. I think I might have got in like a Saturday randomly because I was living up. So I didn't really get into CrossFit Oma at all that much during that time, even when Owen was in coaching, because I was in Coleraine. So Coleraine/Port Stewart, so I would just try and go to a gym up there. So I did. There was a CrossFit gym, but I ended up going to one called Core, I think, and just doing my own bits and bobs, like kind of just making it up. And that was grand because I was still travelling down 2-3 days a week to go play football, go to training, so I didn't really do very much CrossFit then. So technically that wasn't, I really wouldn't count that as like me doing any CrossFit. And then the pandemic happened, so that was 2020, so then obviously the gym's closed, so didn't even get to see too much. But also, I think me and Owen, so then I was just, me and Dad would have had like a wee bit of stuff at the house, so I was just doing random bits at the house, so I was. And then I started trying to, we ended up buying like, I bought a barbell and some weights during the pandemic, and we built like a little home gym situation. I was going out to that during the pandemic, so I was, and was just doing bits, like again making shit up, was trying to teach myself how to handstand push up, and was like doing a bit of cardio, like just again making stuff up, but like it was CrossFit stuff that I was trying to do. But at the time then, that was when me and Owen broke up, so we weren't together during the pandemic really. We broke up like August 2020, and then we got back together March, April time 2021. So yeah, we weren't together for about 8 months. So during that time I was just like, you know, trying to find my best self, like working on me during the breakup, whatever. And so I was just grinding away, doing bits and bobs. And then the gym opened again. And so during the 2020 pandemic time, I was obviously still playing football. Season had ended in 2019. 2020 came. And so we were going into the 2020 pre-season. So this was like November, December 2019. And I was thinking to myself, like, fuck, do I even want to do this for another year? We were getting a change of management. And like, again, I'm very competitive, so mentally it plays on me an awful lot. Like the whole county thing like really played on my mind. Like it was turmoil every week, just making sure that I got playing it, because I swear like my whole identity was being a Gaelic footballer and like playing for county. Like that was my identity, and like if I didn't get starting, I thought that was like detriment to my soul. So anyway, very dramatic, but anyway, I was just like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I think I want to take this time and like go and like work on doing CrossFit, because I was really enjoying the CrossFit training I was doing. So I was like, I'm going to try and do this fitness thing instead and leave county. So I decided not to do the trials for county that year and just park it. Still played club football, but didn't go back to do that. So anyway, that was grand. And so that meant when the gyms opened again, I wasn't playing football anymore, because I hyperextended my knee then that summer when football was back in 2020 or 2021. Can't remember, 2021 maybe. Yeah, it was 2021 because there was no football in 2020. In 2021 I hyperextended my right knee. That had me out of the rest of the season for football, and I essentially then was just doing CrossFit from probably April. The gyms opened in 2021. I would say that's when I properly started CrossFit. Like I would say that like April 2021, so almost like 2 years till now I've probably been doing CrossFit. And so April 2021 started going like 5 days a week, 6 days a week, was going like really regularly. Me and Owen rekindled our love, got back together again, so then we started training together as well. So then it was all going good then for ages. And so then I took this notion that I was like, I'd love to like coach it as well. So I did my level 1, and then I had discussion with PD. PD was training me up and stuff, and he was like doing all his looking over. So essentially I was going to be the person that inducted people into the gym. So if you were new to the gym or you were just joining and you had to do your fundamentals, I was going to be the person that would take you, which I loved. So fun, loved it so much. And I think especially knowing how scared I was to join, I know exactly how people are feeling when they're coming in the gym, so loved it so much. But then obviously fucking literally about a couple, like in the 1st of February then, so all was going good. 2022 was like the first year where I was like trying to do competitions a wee bit. I was doing a lot of competitions in 2022, but I was more like intermediate. I wasn't quite RX yet. So I was trying to like still try and get ring muscle ups, bar muscle ups, all that stuff, but I was doing loads of comps, and that was so fun. And so then got to this year where I was like, right, this is going to be the year where I try and like do some RX competitions. And 1st February comes, as strongest, fittest I've ever been, I tear my ACL. So then that had me out for till now, because I got my surgery. So I was out from the 1st of February, and I got my surgery on the 13th of April, and so here we are now, rehab situation. So yeah, that's the crack. So that's one of the jobs, that's the whole CrossFit situation. And then obviously I have my Be Ready, which I've kind of touched on already, where I just work with a whole host of different clients and stuff. But during the pandemic I also started baking, so I made Killian's cupcakes and loved it. but it kind of got to the point now when everything was going, and I eventually, so I had also worked in the hospital as a band 5 dietitian, but I was there for 4 days a week. But then I was trying to do so much stuff. I was trying to coach, I was trying to learn how to coach, and I was trying to build the Be Ready You business, but it was really hard to do that along with working the 4 days a week in the hospital. So I got that decreased down to 3 days, but even that, it was still so hard to do what I wanted to do with the page. And then essentially I was like, I took this mad leap in December, and I was like, I'm going to hand in my notice and I'm going to go full time on my own business. So from January I was officially like self-employed, and I've been doing that since then. And I essentially, the cupcakes have kind of taken a back seat since then, just because one, the leg, because I wasn't even walking around in my leg from February. So the whole of January I did a bit of baking in January, and then come February when I injured my knee, I obviously wasn't baking because you have to stand for a prolonged period of time. But also I would end up taking on so much baking in that one day, because I'd only do it 1 day a week, that I would be up for 24 hours. So then your sleep was a disaster, your recovery was a disaster, and I just felt like it was eating into my ability to like train, recover, enjoy life, even enjoy the weekends, because I would always do it on Fridays. That meant my Saturday was a whole write-off because I was just so tired. So I haven't been baking for the last 2 to 3 months either, so I haven't, but I still have the page, but I just haven't taken any orders on. So yeah, I would say I'd probably be a while before, like I might take the odd one here and there, but at the minute I'm kind of just focused on building my other business, because that's the one I see long term in the future and have plans for. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't really have any mad plans for Ken's Cupcakes, unless I just want to randomly open a cafe at some point and, you know, make coffee. So yeah, that's that. Let me see what other questions we've got. Okay, I'll finish with this one because I've been rambling on for fucking ages. So, something you tell your younger self. Okay, something I would tell my younger self, which I still have to tell myself on a regular basis now, especially when I get like wafty woos, is you have the power to create your own reality. Like you have the power to choose your own thoughts, to make your own life, you're the one that places limits on yourself. Like yes, everything that you're told when you grow up and like things that you copy off other people, you build these beliefs about yourself, but you can change them. And so if you have a ceiling that you've placed on yourself, you can break that. That's something I would tell my younger self, because I just would never want her to think that she can't do something, that she can't be what she wants to be, that she has to play it small. And I have to still keep reminding myself that now, but that is something I would tell my younger self, is no limits, no limitations, please. Thank you very much. We slay only. So yeah, that's the first one. That's the get to know me done and dusted. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed your cup of tea and our chat. If you have any other questions at some point, maybe I'll do one of these again with more questions, I don't know. But yeah, I'll do one on the whole dietetic situation, because I know a lot of people have questions on that, so we'll talk about that in a different one. But anyway, I hope you have the best day ever. Thank you so much for watching. Love you. Bye.